A lot of people don't know the story of how the Mormon Church was founded. Allow me to equip you to spread half-remembered versions of it to others at dinner parties. When he was 8, Joseph Smith's leg got badly infected, and the old-timey doctors where he lived in upstate New York all thought it needed to be chopped off. Joseph enjoyed walking, so he prayed to God for help in any other form than amputation. His family found a doctor from out of town who said he'd like to try an experimental operation that might let them leave the leg attached. What he proposed to do was saw and drill through Joseph's leg, then scoop out the chunks of bone and goop that looked infected. Joseph agreed. The doctor, doubling as the anesthesiologist for the procedure, produced from his tool bag a bottle of brandy, but having been raised Presbyterian, Joseph said he'd go through with the operation without it. He promised not to squirm around too much, if his father would hold him tight. Rolling his eyes, presumably, the doctor relented. The operation was a success, and Joseph went on to make a full, miraculous, for the time, recovery. Mormons use this tale to explain that it was due to this painful and powerful ordeal that Joseph committed to pleasing God in return for his leg. By 14 years old, he still hadn't been baptized, and people from town were always dropping by to remind his parents that he'd go straight to hell if he happened to die before he got around to it. This was during the Second Great Awakening, a period of renewed Christian vigour during the first half of the 19th century in the US. Joseph had so many sects of Christianity to choose from that he couldn't decide which he ought to join. Though they all had the same Bible, they all seemed to have all kinds of different ideas about how to get salvation. He prayed and read the Bible every chance he got, finally coming to the book of James, where he discovered a couple of scriptures that blew his mind. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Joseph shot up out of bed. That's me! I lack wisdom! He went out into the woods to be alone and got down on his knees to pray. Dear Heavenly Father, there are all these churches teaching all these different interpretations of the Bible. How can I be sure I do the right thing to please you, and, eventually get to heaven? As Joseph Smith himself told it, immediately I was seized upon by some power which entirely overcame me, and had such an astonishing influence over me as to bind my tongue so that I could not speak. Thick darkness gathered around me, and it seemed to me for a time as if I were doomed to sudden destruction. Joseph Smith, History 1:15. If you've ever taken mushrooms, you may recognise this experience as the scary nausea of the come-on. After that, you have some powerful spiritual experiences, at least if you're into mystical, spiritual, or metaphysical stuff. In Joseph's case, as the darkness lifted, 2 extremely bright and shiny figures appeared above him and saved him. They introduced themselves. Hey Joseph, I'm God, and this is my kid, Jesus. Shielding his eyes, Joseph looked up at the men. Oh, nice to meet you. So I was just wondering which church I should join. Actually, God told him, at this point, they're all crap. I've been waiting for the right guy to come along and ask about this so I could start up my church again. I've been leaving the world to its own devices for damn near 1800 years, so I'm glad you asked. Ready to found the one true church?